Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. It's the postseason. We're going to break it all down for you. AL set, the NL still not? Say quoi? Let's talk ball. Charlie Morton.
Kyle Tucker.
Gone. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. Postseason Talkin Baseball. I'm going to start labeling it that. Like when the games pop up on the screen, it's like the postseason brought to you by... Oh, who's going to be this postseason sponsor we're going to get sick of this year? My name is Jake Storielli. That is Trevor Plouffe. Big Baby David is producing in the corner. Trev, we made it. Sometimes it feels fast, sometimes it feels slow. And we'll talk about some baseball too. But God, we're here. September 30th, We've got a team will be eliminated today. We're going to have 4 more teams eliminated in the next couple days. It's going to be a wild ride. We're excited to be with you guys. If you're tuning in now because it's playoff season, make sure you're subscribed and all that stuff. We're going to be doing live streams every day. We're going to be doing Talking Baseball more or less every day. It's the end of the grind, and excited to do it with my guy, Trevor Goof. How you doing, T-Pain?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm excited to talk some postseason ball here. Yuck it up a little bit. I think right now, like when we're not even done with 162, which is crazy, but there's 2 times where people really like 162. Like people are like, yeah, we're so fired up about this big season. It's the beginning of the season, like first day, and then when it ends. Everything in between, I think we're all in agreement that 162 is too much. It's too much.
It's insane. It's
too many games.
It's a lot of games, man.
But right now, people are stoked because, like, that's why you play 162. That's all going to get decided. I had a bad take, apparently.
Oh.
How about that? First one
Rare,
ever.
yeah.
Ron Darling, not happy with me. I said, I think Major League Baseball zooed this Braves-Mets series.
Ooh.
And I was defending the Diamondbacks, saying, like, man, like, wouldn't they rather have had these 2 teams compete at, like, a full level instead of whoever wins the first game is just going to pump the brakes in the second game? I think that was my point. People are so mad. The Diamondbacks should have taken care of business. They had 162 games to do it. They should have beat the Padres. And I was like, dude, I'm just saying. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of a weird spot to be in. It is what it is. Prayers for everyone that's actually being affected by, like, this hurricane.
Yeah.
We're, like, worried about the baseball implications of it. I don't know, man. I just think this is a very strange thing. We knew the hurricane was coming, right? Like,
right.
Major League Baseball knew in advance there was going to be weather for this very crucial series, and we just kind of was like, they just were hoping that this scenario didn't play out.
Or maybe they weren't, Trev. I'm fading the fade on it. I think baseball.
You like disaster? This is disaster baseball.
I think baseball likes that we've got some spotlights on them today, and I think it's before the Monday Night Football game, and I think baseball doesn't mind having a little extra chaos.
What's to stop?
Okay.
So the Braves go out and win game 1. Obviously, Schwellenbach's gonna strike guys out, not walk anybody. He's gonna do it, right? We're just gonna say that's gonna happen. Peter Moreland loves this guy. What's to stop the Braves from throwing position players?
There's
entire
a rule.
Second game.
You can't throw them until the 8th inning.
Gosh,
Look at that. Yeah,
I'm a little tired.
We were chopping.
Okay.
Hey, Trev, you're
not
already
position players.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking. We're getting into it, and we're getting into it with Booking.com. This episode of Talkin' Baseball is brought to you by Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Go see your team at home. Go see your team on the road. A couple teams know where they're going. Go there. Set the tone. Change the vibe. The good people of Kansas City, you think there's people not going out to Baltimore to see their Royals play some playoff baseball? And they're doing it with Booking.com. They got hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even if you're baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com and download the Booking.com app. Trev, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Because you already were. You're already running. And we're going to start. It's a Monday. but we're going to start with the National League mess because we got to clean it up the best we can for the people because it's like happening. We're living in it. As Trev started to tease you with, the Mets and the Braves are playing 2 in Atlanta today. The easiest way to surmise it, if they go 1-1, whichever way that happens, both teams go to the dance. Sounds like a nice little handshake.
And Braves will be 5, Mets will be 6.
Right. If the Braves win both games, they would eliminate the New York Mets from the baseball season. I won't say the phrase Metsy as it getsy, but we've talked about that franchise a lot. And it is, I'll be honest, we have a lot of Mets fans in our office now. So it's a baseball town, although we'll break down the Karl Anthony Towns trade later. Mets fans are living in fear today. It's the Braves. It's the Mets. Like, they've seen this song and dance before. But on the other side, if the Mets win 2 baseball games today, they would eliminate the Atlanta Braves, and the Arizona Diamondbacks would be the NL champion. Arizona Diamondbacks would be in the dance. So, Trev, you were talking about the chaos from hurricane to where we are now. I get where you at with the whole thing.
I mean, basically, we're knotted up for the last 2 wild card spots. Stop, bro.
Sorry,
I knew where you're going with that. Stop. So yeah, because Atlanta and New York have the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks, if they split this doubleheader, they would all end up with an 89-73 record. But the tiebreaker goes to the 2 NL East teams, and the Diamondbacks would be out. So basically, I think my whole point on all of this is, yes, I get it. The Diamondbacks could have won 1 more game. I understand that, people. I understand. I'm not great at math, but I get some of it. My whole point is, and I hope we don't see this. I hope we don't see the team that wins the first game just completely sell. No, I mean, the facts are, Jake, if the Braves or the Mets win, or somebody has to win. Whoever wins game 1. In the second game, no high leverage pitchers are going to pitch. Nobody they need for tomorrow's game, the first wild card game, is going to pitch. So it's going to be interesting. Would I love to see like Jesse Chavez throw 6 for the Braves in the second game and just like be this like, I mean, yes, I like chaos in my baseball. It just seems to me like because of the situation, this is my overall point. And I don't know, man. You can love it. It's okay if you love what's happened. My overall point is, I think it stinks if you're the Diamondbacks and you're like, hey, that second game is not going to be the best effort as it would have been if they played it on the regular schedule.
100%.
That's kind of like my whole point.
100%. And I'm going to start saying 100% more. I think people that say it really quick and confidently, I like that. Because, yeah, when this happened, I was originally, I was stoked for the Mets because all the momentum had changed. Like, the Braves won that first game. Money Mike went nuts. It was supposed to be Chris Sale the next day who's going to win the Cy Young. So maybe it is good for the Mets. Maybe it's not. And I guess that's the only thing I'd say, Trev. Like, we need to see this because if someone has a standout performance, like if Spencer Schwelly goes 8, shut piece, and the Braves put up a 6 spot. Okay, you're right. Like, the Braves aren't going to pitch Chris Sale game 2. No. And that's what we were figuring out in the office. Because it's 28 men, they don't get the extra doubleheader body, but you could still option someone up and down between games. So I would assume that there's going to be a pitcher transaction, but whatever pitcher you send down is out for the postseason. So that's a tricky thing to navigate. But yeah, if you're the Braves,
unless there's an injury.
Right. Their depth pieces for the Braves, Jesse Chavez, Grant Holmes, Daysbel Hernandez. Like, if they win game 1, it's going to be a lot of that. Because that's the other thing that you stated. Like, if whoever wins this, they're playing playoff baseball tomorrow. So
yeah,
it is messy, and it's kind of unfair to all 3 teams. How about that? Like,
no, that's I wanted to get that out there. this is not great for the Mets or the Braves either. Like they have to fly. Both these teams are going to have to fly somewhere. They're not playing at home. So they're going to have to fly to Milwaukee or they're going to have to fly to San Diego and play tomorrow.
Yeah.
After playing a doubleheader today. Like it's not ideal for anybody. I was just talking about the on the Diamondback side, how the second game might be a weird game. But I agree, it stinks for all the teams. And I don't really know how you combat it other than, they could have moved to a neutral site. They could have played the day before. I think they had an off day the day before, and they could have just moved the game up. And I don't know. There are things they could have done. But anyways, this is the position we're in, people. We don't need to complain about it. We're just going to watch it and enjoy it. I hope there's some cool moments. I hope the second game doesn't stink because that would be a bad look on baseball. But here we are.
And maybe
you had 162 games to do it.
Well, that's the other thing. I think that's where Snakes fans feel like they don't have a lot of ground to stand on, is that they've limped down the stretch. I think they finished 2-5 this week, so like they could have made a different narrative. But they did not, and so they're cool for game one. D-backs fans are chilling game one, and then they just became a fan of whoever wins that first game because that controls their whole season. And I guess the other thing for me, Trev, is like the pitching, sure. Like, it's the Mets, if they lose game one, they're probably pitching Severino, who's been really strong for them. If the Braves lose, they're going Sale. And then obviously they are not because they're going to be pitching the first game of the playoffs for them. But with 28-man rosters, like the Braves bench right now, so if the Braves win game one and they want to give Albies or Harris or Olsen or whoever rest, like the Braves bench is Darno, Merrifield, Adam Duvall. They list Kelnick there and Eli White. So like we're still getting major leaguers. It's not like you're going to get the AAA team just to keep everyone healthy. Like, and even on the Mets too, like their depth is guys know. But you're right. I mean, the degree of the pitching is going to be a little bit different.
I don't want to keep harping on this because who knows? I think there's going to be a lot of like hustle, like extra bases probably not going to be taken. You're trying to save yourself in a game yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, if they split, the seeds are already locked in if they split.
Right.
So there's no like seeding or anything like that. So I don't know, man. Well, you know what I want? This is what I want to happen. Whoever wins game one, I want them to, start game two, and I want them to hit a 3-run homer and put the other team on like panic mode.
Right. I mean,
that's what I want.
Hey, baseball finds a way sometimes. So and I think, unfortunately, you love Jurassic Park.
I do love Jurassic Park. They kind of zooed up. Again, I mean, there's too many of them now. And
if you've followed baseball, and Mets fans, like Jolly's on edge out there today.
You think he is?
Yes,
Who's
man.
Who's got it the worst?
Just because
today.
Who's what?
Who's got it the worst of those three
Mets fans
today?
Mets fans.
You think Mets fans just because of like the overall history and like the season's been crazy in a good way, and they're like, wow, this feels
because
weird.
It's everything you talked about, Trev. It's the Braves aren't going to roll out their A team game two. Trev, any baseball team can win a baseball game on any given day. That's the beauty of it. The
Chicago White Sox won how many?
Not a lot, but
I'm looking up.
41. Hey,
at least.
Hey. Baseball's also a game that's played better free and easy. Like, I don't know, is Matt Olson DHing in that second game to get ABs? Like, is Ozuna, like, some good Braves are still going to be on the field. And Mets fans, here's where I'm being rude. I haven't given the other side of the equation that you guys could rest Lindor for game two and you guys could rest Pete. Or is Pete the sicko that wants to be out there for game two? Like, there also is some division rivalry stuff here that, like, you can't bench everyone. And there's, like, say the Mets do win game one, and now Luis Angel Acuna is out there in game two. Like, you're telling me that guy can't put up a crazy day at the ballpark? I hope we get something good. There definitely is something feels off about it. Baseball's got a chance, and that's where, unfortunately, for the rest of the National League, we don't know what to break down yet. And just for the Talkin' Baseball listeners, we're going to do an episode tomorrow morning where we give, we got to give our picks, Trev. You're one of the best prediction guys in the biz. Or you were until, I don't know. I don't know if you used up all your juju and then the White Sox kind of broke you.
I have a good pick this year.
Okay.
Phillies over Astros.
It is lining
So,
up. We don't know who's going to be playing the Milwaukee Brewers yet. We don't know who's going to be playing the San Diego Padres yet. I guess if there's anything else you want to get off about the NL before we kind of dive deeper into the AL because we know those matchups.
We can't really.
Right.
That's the problem. I want to.
Right. I mean, it's it's tough to break down games that we don't know that's going to happen. So that's what we'll check in.
I will say this.
Okay.
Quickly on the Brewers. They're waiting to see, obviously who they're going to play. They're hosting it as the winners of the NL Central. They've kind of like found themselves with like a nice little rotation for this 3-game set.
Yeah.
Being able to set it up. And I think we've seen around the league this year, maybe not by design necessarily, but by, just circumstance. We've seen some of these teams, a lot of these teams that are playing playoff baseball, figure out how to use bulk guys instead of starters. Figure out this opener to bulk to bullpen games. And it's kind of like worked. So now Milwaukee had to do that for some time. Obviously, trading for Montas and Savali has changed things. They have 3 guys set up. But I think it's interesting, and I guess this isn't all about the Brewers, but it's interesting how the Tigers we're going to be talking about them and what they've done. The Guardians have had to do that. Brewers have had to do that for parts of the season. It's an interesting kind of like, does this actually work situation? And we're going to find out.
Yeah, Brewers, they're probably going Freddie, Savale, and Montas, which, okay, those guys can give you a game. And the Padres are sitting there, man, and they are set up so pretty.
So good.
And both places are going to be rocking. So, once we have the NL matchups, we'll dive into them a little deeper. For now, I think we go over to the American League, Trev, where the bracket is set up. The Kansas City Royals will face off in Baltimore. How do you like your shortstops? As those two, nice historic MLB franchises kind of getting things going in the right direction. Meanwhile, the Hinch Bowl, A.J. Hinch and the Detroit Tigers, who cannot be stopped, will head down to Houston and tee it up with the Astros, who go to the championship series every year. These matchups are brought to you by Orgain. I like hearing Trev talk about Orgain.
God, I love Orgain. I really do.
You heard it in that voice. It matters what you're putting into your body. And if you want to fuel it with the best stuff out there, that's who Orgain is. How about, 30 grams of protein in the shakes they sent us. Yep. That's how this happens, folks. They sent us some of this stuff. It's where you hear it in Trev's voice. Have you been giving Teddy this stuff? Is that what you said last time? Are you beefing him?
They have Kids Orgain, so like little. We get like the chocolate ones. Kind of, they think they're like chocolate milkshakes, but you get this protein, and it's great. Hey, if you have kids stink, dude. When it comes to eating,
right?
Orgain is good for kids.
God, food has become a popular topic in this country, and that's a good thing. And Orgain is real nutrition. The 30-gram protein shakes are available at Costco. There's a lot of talk this weekend of what's not available at Costco, but the shakes are available at Costco and Orgain.com. If you want to get in on the delicious protein-packed nutrition today, Orgain.com/Talkin. Code Talkin, 20% off your order. Orgain.com/Talkin, 20% off. Make sure you use the promo code Talkin. Trev, let's start off with the shortstop bowl.
Sure.
The Royals head to Baltimore. They are going to be game 1, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, 4:38 p.m. Eastern. And then game 3 would also be at 4 p.m. So if you're looking for Orioles-Royals, set your alarm for 4 p.m. this week and you'll find it. Orioles, these two teams met up twice in April when I don't know, the Orioles were expected to kind of be the best team in the American League, or one of. The Royals, we did not think that. Baltimore won both of these series. 2 walk-offs in the first series. And yeah, Trev, I mean, the highlights are kind of the stars. We've got the number 1 and number 2 picks in the 2019 draft, Adley and Bobby Witt. The story of the turnaround Royals. The Royals have starting pitching in droves, and that's kind of fun. So I guess, where do you start with this series?
I think they're two, similar. They've gone through a similar path to get here. I think the fan bases are finally being rewarded. The Orioles had, a long stretch of bad baseball up there. The Royals had a long stretch of bad baseball up there. So now, they're seeing success, and I'm happy for both of these franchises. I really am. Royals, one of the biggest surprises of the season. We liked their offseason, still didn't think, you could lose 56 games and then come back and be a playoff team. That just seemed unfathomable, but here we are. I think these teams match up really well. First of all, I want to say it is an aesthetically pleasing match.
Yeah.
I like the royal blue with the orange, very nice coloring there. And again, I think you can go position by position and find spots where, there are clear advantages for either team. And then you go to shortstop and who are you picking? Like, I know Bobby Witt Jr. had this magical year, but go check out Gunnar Henderson's stats too. I think all eyes are going to be on those two guys. I think that's really cool. I like the positional matchup of Adley versus Sal. Adley, I'm hoping.
Ooh, yes, Trev.
It's a good one. I'm hoping Adley sees those numbers on the Jumbotron at 0 again and kind of resets himself as he struggled down the stretch a little bit. I think that will be really cool to see. And, you just get that extra little boost there. It's going to be a great matchup. I think, Corbin Burns versus Cole Reagans. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Both these teams didn't have these guys at the beginning of last year. I mean, Corbin gets traded over before the start of this year. I was talking about this with Chris Rose. Cole Reagans comes over from Texas for Aroldis Chapman. They signed Kansas City, has made some incredible moves over the last 2 years to get to where they're at. Signing Aroldis Chapman for 3.7, flipping him to the Rangers, who were desperately needed bullpen help last year, for Cole Reagans.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And then they go out and sign these pitchers in the offseason who are all like, okay, we'll see how that goes. And they just set themselves up perfectly. It's been a masterclass job by the front office for the Kansas City Royals. And then I think you could say the same thing about the Orioles over the last, 5 or 6 years and what they've done with the draft. Obviously, trading for Corbin itself. I think both these front offices deserve a lot of credit. I'd probably give the lean to the Royals as the Orioles did it through the draft when you could still tank and get the picks and all those things. I don't know, man. This is going to be a great series. It really is.
Yeah, and I guess I want to, there's going to be stuff that we could say about every series, but like the winner of game 1, obviously that just feels massive and like a huge weight off knowing that game 2, you have life. But especially with these two teams, man, and dude, Reagan's Burns, that's a really fun one. Corbin Burns' cutter has been cutting more and more downward. That's great, just what everyone needed. A nice little tidbit to have in his back pocket as he goes to free agency. That's going to be one of the fun stories this year. Yeah, I wonder how ugly can the Royals make this feel? Because their starting pitching is great. And it says Reagan's Lugo Waka, which tells me Brady Singer is going to be a weapon for them out of the bullpen, which I'm interested to see what that looks like. But they've also, I think they're going to carry 4 lefties on their playoff roster. So, like, how ugly on the back end of this game are the Royals going to make this, trying to play the matchups? And your thing for Adley, I do love that. Like, hey, it's the postseason. This is what people are going to remember, dude. And him getting Cole Reagans the first game, kind of huge because he has mauled lefties this year. So I love that for Adley. trying to hit the reset button. And then, yeah, man, this Royals team, especially without Vinny, it's tough to say where their real expectations land. Like, Royals fans, if you want to come at me, I get it, but that the lineup gets thin quick, and this has a chance to be a fun memory, man. Like, they can easily win this series, and you got 55-year-old Yuli Gurriel and Tommy Pham setting a tone, and is Adam Frazier going to be in the mix? Robbie Grossman, like, you got some veteran ABs. It's going to be, what's the result of that? And any team in baseball can win a 3-game set. Where, man, the Orioles, who have really been scuffling in the second half, if they can hold serve in Baltimore and get this done, like, then you really start to believe again. And, like, this is a special young core, and they have the true ace. That their bullpen has been scary lately, but we've seen the past couple postseasons. If you have 2 or 3 guys get hot at the right time, that's all you need. This is a big test for these baby O's, man.
I agree. And both teams kind of come in struggling. I believe the Royals are 51 and 52 since the beginning of June. I just did the math in my head. From July on, the Orioles were 38 and 40. So the two teams kind of like middling, but hey, who cares? 162 is over, people. It's time for the bright lights. I'm excited for this one. Do you think it's going to be the Stars that get the job done? Do you think it's going to be the Bobby Witt versus Gunnar Henderson show? Do you think that's what it's going to be? I really hope it becomes that. We're seeing these guys go toe-to-toe, big hit after big hit, making plays. I think that's what the people want. If it doesn't go that way, and just say we go straight lineups up and down, right, I think you have to give the upper hand to the Orioles as far as like lineup length. I think the bullpens are interesting. I think maybe you give the Royals a little bit of a tip there, but I don't think it's by much. Again, I think you're right. We're going to pare it down and just throw the guys that are hot. Ride the hot hand. That's what you got to do, no matter what. And then the starters, I think that's where it gets interesting. I think it could be a wash there. Eflin's come over and done a really good job. And then Reagans versus Burns. I mean, that's probably give the nod to Burns there, but it's one game. Cole Reagans can come out and shove, and we wouldn't bat an eye about it. So this is going to be I think it's going to be a really close series. I think this one does go 3, Jake. How about that?
Ooh, okay. We've been looking for that. Yeah, dude, for those that don't know, like, you're like, oh, Corbin Burns, he won a Cy Young, he's a stud. These are Cole Reagan's final stats. He had a 5-WAR season, 32 starts, a $186, 3.14 ERA, 223 strikeouts. Like, this is real deal ones. Like, guys that, that became a hot topic in like, what's a real ace? These guys are ones. You got one of the hardest throwing young lefties, Cole Reagans. And Corbin Burns, who has secured the bag and a bona fide stud. Like, if you're doing your top 5 starting pitchers you believe in Major League Baseball, it's tough to not have him on the list. That game 1 environment's going to be electric. And you're right. Like, you'd love to see the big Bobby. Like, is Bobby Witt going to get an at-bat with 2 or 3 runners on? Is Gunnar going to get that look? The pressure, in a way, is going to be on the Birds because the Royals are playing with a little bit of house money. And, dude, Tommy Pham in a big at-bat? I don't want to happen. I don't want to see him up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tommy Pham ain't scared. We know this. Same with Big Sal. I guess that's it. For the guys that are threats on the Royals, are they going to get real opportunities? Are they going to get runners in scoring position at bats? Because they are playing a dance where the Orioles, who just got bodies back, Westberg, I think he's got good numbers against Seth Lugo. Like, Ryan Mountcastle has some good numbers in there that, like, these guys are impactful. The Orioles are going to have their opportunity, and is this their second October? They were there last year for the first time. I'd like to think experience matters. So the fact that they're back here, they've been playing for this all year. They've just got a little bit of fresh life and good blood back. Orioles have to hold serve at home. Otherwise, people are going to be tough on the Birds this offseason, man.
I don't think this matters at all because these
perfect.
games were in April.
Right.
But there's got to be in the back of Cole Reagan's mind. The second start against the Birds did not go well for him. So, where is he at? First one, great. 6 1/3 innings pitch. This is on April 3rd. 6 1/3 innings pitch. Only 1 hit, 7 Ks. Awesome. 420. Maybe he was, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 earnings. So a blow-up start.
Yeah.
Is that in his mind? Probably not. That's so far ago. That's so long ago that I don't think it is. Corbin Burns, 2 5 2/3 innings pitched starts against the Royals. Kind of, start of the season starts. Probably didn't go that many pitches. It is what it is. I don't think that matters to him at all. He's one of those guys that I just think doesn't care about what anybody has to say or whatever your numbers are. Doesn't matter. He's just going to go be himself. We always talk about like, Alex Bregman does not care about the all JM team for him.
But he does.
Is he the guy that we said that about? Because I think he actually does care about that.
Yeah.
I think we at one point said that about him. Then we learned that he actually is following along. Corbin Burns surely doesn't care what we have to say.
No.
So I like that. I'm going, how about this? Game 1 prediction. I'm taking the Birds.
Extra innings.
I'm taking the Birds. I think Corbin Burns is going to be electric this postseason.
I mean, he's wanted this and he's built up for this. He's a true ace in his contract year. Like, this is and a team that's one of the powers of the AL. Gonna be fun to see, man, those former Philly guys in the back end of their bullpen, Soto and Dominguez. Yeah, and hey, some of the ancillary pieces are going to be fun, man. Like, Austin Slater mashes lefties at all the kids on Baltimore. Do we see Holiday, Kjerstad?
Is Vinny? I'm hearing conflicting reports about Vinny. Okay. I thought it was going to be they'd have to make a deep postseason run. That was the report initially. If they get past the wild card, maybe end of the DS, or maybe they can put him on the roster. I don't know. Now we're seeing he might be available for this.
Hey, man,
because that is a difference maker like no other for the Kansas City Royals. You're talking about a lineup that was great with runners in scoring position. Vinny was a huge part of that. It adds to the depth there. You're talking about maybe they don't pitch to Bobby Witt in those situations. Maybe they don't pitch to Sal. But if you got 3 guys doing it, it's hard to navigate all of them. I don't think he's going to be wrong, but they're saying their chance.
Yeah, if Vinny can, Vinny will. I took your advice the other day. I did send him a text just like, hey, dude, thinking about you, go Royal. It was a nice conversation. So you were right. That was some good life advice from you. And yeah, I mean, you wonder if gamesmanship gets involved. Like, do they have Vinny on the roster on the bench? And are the Orioles worried about a pinch hit? And can he pinch hit? Like, that's where some of the fun playoff antics gets in. Because, dude, what if, Orioles go to the bullpen and they bring in a righty and Vinny Pasquantino comes in for his first at-bat in a month? Like, that's postseason juices. I don't know. Hopefully we find out that stuff soon. Let's audible over to the Hinch Bowl, Trev. The Houston Astros, they're there every year. They are hosting, surprise, the Detroit Tigers. It looked like it was going to be the Minnesota Twins for a little bit, but the Detroit Tigers, they have been the best team in baseball of late, going against the team that's been the best team of baseball of late of this decade or so, the Houston Astros. And this series is brought to you by Arena Club. Collecting cards. The idea of spending $2,000 just isn't in the cards for a lot of us. A little pun intended there. Thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates from one to another. We pulled a Luis Ariz from the pack they sent us. Whoops. Sorry about you. Just won another batting title. Is that good for the value? Arena Club grading process is accurate and fast and transparent. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. And right now you get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/talkin. That's arenaclub.com/talkin for 10% off your first purchase. Trevor, Houston and Detroit. The Tigers 48-30 since July 1st, the best record in baseball. How do you like that? Hinch at the helm, the Cy Young winner, and a bunch of damn kids going up against the Houston Astros, who second best ERA since May. That's good. And Jose Altuve will start his 104th career playoff game. Alex Bregman his 98th, Trevor.
That's amazing. I think we should start there with the Astros, give them their flowers, where they were in that division early on in the year. We knew it was just a matter of time, and they proved everybody right. This is a team that, call them a dynasty. You don't have to. I think they are. That's the closest thing we have in baseball to a dynasty right now with these Astros. 7 straight ALCSs, like you mentioned, and here they are again. I think that's kind of the storyline. Is it's the tried and true. These guys have been there, done that a million times in the postseason versus the baby Tigers, who I believe have, if Kenta Maeda is not on the roster, do they have anyone with postseason experience?
Oh, that's a fun game. Who on the Tigers has played in a playoff game?
Yeah, I think they might have one. I think they're going to go into it with 25 guys that don't have any playoff experience versus a team chock full of playoff experiences. And I think
Trev, Matt Vierling loves the playoffs. 15 plate appearances.
That's right. So he's like the only one, right?
Huh. How about that?
Big hit coming. I think that's it. And I think that's okay. I think what we've seen from these Tigers is that they're just young and, I mean this in a loving way, young and dumb enough to go do this damn thing.
How much for this series? A lot of the Astros resumes, so I don't have to, I don't have to deep dive and tell you who Alex Bregman is, Kyle Tucker. Jordan hasn't been playing, which it's a knee. He's going to be DHing. He's going to be there. I see the look in your face like you're not worried about him.
Well, there have been some reports, I guess, as early on this last weekend, they were saying he probably won't be there. Then he took live BP on Sunday, so I don't know if this is some trickery or what the heck is going on there. It seems to me like Jordan's going to be there. He's going to be DHing. He probably won't play the outfield at all, but I'm assuming he'll be there. This is Jordan Alvarez postseason. Let's go do it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're all expecting. Something to watch for. Like, let's see if the lineup or roster drops a little differently, because he is a historic all-time hitter with some postseason success, too. How much does this come down to game one? Because it's Scooble, man. Like, he's the guy. He was supposed to be kind of the breakout pitcher this year. He was. He's going to win the Cy Young. As good as it gets in baseball, going up against the Houston Astros, that in Houston, if the Tigers lose game one using Scooble, I mean, their belief levels are going to be pretty low. So is it as simple as that or no?
I think that's pretty accurate.
Right.
That's when you talk about the season and the turnaround from the Tigers. I believe the record is 32-12 since August 11th, which is incredible. That's what it's been. I think a lot of people will talk about AJ Hinch and the credit that he deserves for navigating basically a starterless rotation, bulk guys, openers, this whole thing. He does deserve some credit there. And, I don't like to give credit, especially to AJ Hinch.
Right.
I have made my feelings clear about him.
He knew.
People forget that they also have the Triple Crown winner, Derek Scooble. It hasn't just been bullpen game after bullpen game. They also have this guy who's been their ace, their stopper, the Cy Young winner. So yes, if the Astros come out and put a hurting on Scooble, I think that changes things. I mean, that's could be the end of the line for the Tigers. But I will say this. I will say this. I think for years, bullpen games were like, all right, cool. Like, we're going to go get some of these guys. It seems like in a bullpen game, the offense would have the advantage. You're not starting that frontline starter. It's completely flipped now. I don't think the Astros are looking forward to seeing 6 different pitchers in a game. Like, I don't think any offense is looking forward to seeing that, especially some of these dudes that the Tigers have in that bullpen. Like they ran it, like I said, 32-12 since August 11th, and then they added Jackson Jobe. Like, what's his role going to be? I don't think that's a comfortable game for the Astros. So how about this? Say the Tigers come out and win game 1. You're backs up against the wall. What do you do if you're Hinch, though? If they win game 1, do you start Cater, or do you try to go bullpen game and save him for the next round? These postseason matchups, a wild card in particular. I think the managers really have to earn their money, man. They really do. It's going to be. This is like one of the only series where you could really say this is 2 completely different teams. You couldn't get more different than these 2 teams matching up right here.
I mean, a little David and Goliath. Like, if we're being honest about it, the Astros have gone to the CS 7 straight years. The Tigers, this is their first time back at the dance in close to a decade. So, kind of over the same time period. That that first game is going to be interesting because Scooble and the kind of 4 in the back end of that Detroit bullpen with Foley. I mean, talk about if you want your closer to have a closer look, bing. Tyler Holton, who has been one of the best relievers in baseball. Bo Brisky has been putting in work down there, and Will Vest. That they have a formula for game 1. Have a lead, Cy Young winning Scooble to 4 good bullpen options. You got 3 righties and a lefty. Detroit has their plan. Find a way to scrape a run or 2 and win that game. But just a reminder, that game is not won until the last pitch by Foley or Scooble, I guess if he tries to do some heroics, would be thrown, because Houston's done this. They did it to Seattle. That Robbie Ray, right? So scrap, claw, do whatever you can to win game 1. That's where things would get electric, because, Trev, you're right. It does open up a whole conversation of, if you're the Tigers, do you save your 4 bullpen guys in game 2 and just pray for a miracle win? So you have, I don't know, Foley, Holton, Brisky, Vest have 30 bullets apiece. It gets really messy. And, dude, I'm excited to see, Trev, I don't like to give you too many snaps. Cater Montero, you were kind of the guy that it's where I do love what we do for Talkin' Baseball. You kind of introduced him to me this year, and he is going to get a look against the Houston Astros in the playoffs that we're gonna find out something quick about him.
Absolutely. And going back to Scoob's starts against Houston, May 11th, 6 1/3, 2 earned runs. Great start. June 14th, 6 1/3, 6 hits, but 4 earned runs. Mauricio Dubon, who could be in there at left field for the Astros in game 1, hit a homer off him. So we'll see, man. The matchups are going to be interesting. I think that's the storyline, is the old dogs versus the young kids, man.
Yeah.
That's just good sports right there. That's just good entertainment.
Well, dude,
I want to make this point because you mentioned Tyler Holton, and that's, AJ Hinch has had the good fortune of having some really, really good bullpen guys that are willing to go more than 1 inning. I think it's the future of pitching in the game. There are still teams, sure, that have the rotation. It's so difficult to line up a 5-man rotation. I think eventually we're going to see 3 starters and then bulk games. I think that's just the way things are going, especially monetarily. Starting pitching costs a lot. It's hard to acquire starting pitching. I think more teams will start to go to these formulas. It's shown that it's worked this year in particular, with the Guardians and Milwaukee and now the Tigers. Tyler Holton, last 2 years, man.
Yeah.
179 and 2/3 innings pitched to a 2.15 ERA.
Not
That's
bad.
big boy stuff.
It is, and it's a lot. It's like a lot of innings. Like that's extremely valuable. And you wonder, I've dreamt up my reliever to starter theory. You wonder if he's a guy that can enter that realm at some point. Houston, any damn John Boy guys, they never talk about Houston. I mean, it's more so we're introducing the Tigers because these guys haven't been there. I've been telling anyone that'll listen to me, Riley Green, when you come out with your top players list for next year, let's see where he's at on the list. They are a bunch of kids, Trev, and it's just going to be, is the moment going to get to them? In Houston, man, that place gets rowdy. And these are guys that are playing hundreds of postseason games.
Yeah.
And it's looking like they haven't officially announced. You'd assume Framber's going to get the ball in game 1. So if you like some lefty pitching, enjoy that. And then they haven't officially announced Hunter Brown would be lined up for game 2. They have some pitching options, and they have guys on the back end. Hader, Abreu, Presley. We'll see who else. Spencer Arrighetti, is he going to have a postseason moment? Because the whole lineup has. Altuve, Tucker, Bregman. It's going to be interesting to see what they do between the catcher, first base, DH with Yordan. They've been juggling that a little bit, but with Yordan locked into the DH, that's going to be an interesting decision between Diaz, Singleton, Caratini. And then, Hayward and Dubon, I'll tell you what, as a lefty-righty type platoon goes, I know what I'm going to get from Jay Hay. And, dude, Mauricio Dubon, electricity in a bottle. Like, I don't mind that guy doing anything in my postseason that.
I'm assuming we're going to get Dubon in left field, Yordan DHing, Diaz at first, and Caratini behind the plate. That's what I'm assuming. And then if they end up going a bullpen game, we could see a switch there. Hayward in left, if a right-hander starting. Singleton's actually, I think, swung the bat well over the last couple of weeks. So shout out our guy John and Linz. As much as I would love to see, I actually don't know who I'm rooting for. I was going to say, as much as I would love to see the kids go do it, like I'm almost more interested in seeing the Astros just continue this dominance. I've just really grown to respect what they've done. This is another one that could go either way. I think both these American League series have good storylines, and I think they're really, this one's closer than a lot of people are going to give it credit for. Like, I don't think the Astros are going in looking like, hey, we're going to crush these baby Tigers. I don't think that's the case, man. I think they got a formula, and if they can just kind of get the nerves under wraps, I think this is like a 50-50 for me. I really believe that. And I don't think a lot of people believe the Tigers have a fighting chance, but they definitely do.
Well, that's where, for me, like, how about this? In Kansas City, Baltimore, I don't think if you win game 1, you've won the series. Like, I don't. Like, obviously it's a blow, but like the Royals, if they lose game 1, hey, Seth Lugo's going out there twirling the pill. That guy might give you 7 shut. He's a veteran. He's had an incredible year. Same with the Birds. Like, Eflin's been amazing for them. They've got a lineup. But for me, this one, Detroit has to get the first game. You're not going to lose game 1 in Houston to these guys that just win and then come back and win 2 bullpen games with a bunch of kids going against these guys that literally play for this time of year. So if Skubal can go out and, like, it's kind of what you're saying, but differently. Like, they can very easily win game 1. Like, they can put a couple runs up. They could shut out Houston in the first game. Like, Skubal is that guy. The guys in their bullpen are that guy. That their kids are they free and loose? Are they having fun? Are they scared? Let's see that. But if they win game 1, then it's basically 18 innings to figure out if the Tigers can somehow end another game with more runs on the board, and they can, but God, it is going to be it's going to be pressure-packed electric innings.
I agree. I think this is a must-win game for the Tigers, game one. And I think that they have a very good chance with that guy in the hill. My question to you now, you mentioned it's the AJ Hinch Bowl. I know he's been back to Houston. I understand that, but now you get announced. You're going to go out on the line, and they're going to announce the manager, and they're all going to line up. I believe they do that for the wild card.
Do they do that? They should, right?
I think they do it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
What do you think the reception is?
You get boos. I mean, you're on the other side, Pop.
I don't think they're gonna like cheer, like standing ovation this guy, but does he get like heavily booed?
I guess I am not the one.
Where do you stand on Hinch? I think this is a fascinating one for me because he's obviously in the spotlight this year because what he did in Houston, good and bad. Where are you at with him?
I mean, man, if I'm being real, obviously the scandal is the scandal is the scandal. And like that's its own Wikipedia page now, and it's whatever, and he knew what was going on. He was a part of the dance, and I do hate that. I'm a second chance in life guy. He went over this Tigers team. They've found something. I do think there's something to managing. We obviously don't know the best way to quantify it. But, like, I think AJ Hinch is probably a pretty good manager. That, I don't know. I think if he put the dagger in the Houston Astros, there's something poetic to that, right? Like, this Bregman's going to be a free agent. The team is changing. Like, Verlander, we haven't said that name yet. Like, he's probably not going to be a part of this series that... we've been wondering when the changing of any guard in Houston is going to happen. And if AJ Hinch and the Kid Tigers knock them out in a 3-gamer, like that will be a moment like changing the next steps of baseball. If they don't, they don't. And Houston rolls and they'll be in the CS. That I'm whatever with Hinch. Dude, giving Jason Benetti love in the clubhouse, that was pretty cool. Like maybe that's loser media boy coming out. But that was a cool moment, and people seem to like AJ Hinch. I don't know him, so that's kind of where I'm at.
I also don't know him. That's where I go. I don't obviously love his history. I think that we've talked about this a lot. Okay. I think he had a lot to do with what was going on. He said he didn't want it, but he didn't stop it. All these things. I have to give him credit for what he's done this year. I really, really do. That jumping off point, man. The trade deadline, I guess that's what it was.
Yeah.
The start of it. Trade deadline, Javi Baez goes down, opens some things up for the kids to play. But I think the way he's had to handle the bullpen, that's one of the ways these managers have an impact on the game, a true impact on the game. And you have to give credit to the players to be able to go do that. But he's done a really, really nice job. So I think this is kind of like his redemption arc, if you will. I'm very curious to see how it goes for him. I can't say I'm rooting for him.
Okay.
But I have to respect what he's done this year.
Yeah, I think we're gonna know pretty quickly if these Detroit Tigers are still young, dumb, and free and taking daddy hacks up there and having fun, or do the playoffs feel different?
What if Scoobs gives up 4 runs in the first 2 innings?
Over.
What do?
Over.
Is this a quick hook, or do you have to save your bullpen guys? This is. I don't think that's going to happen. But these are the decisions when you have what they have, which is your strength will be in your bullpen.
Right.
It's like, when do you unleash it? You can't just throw it every single day, not 3 days in a row. So then you have to be very mindful of when these guys go.
Very mindful, very demure. For Scooble, That's actually really interesting, Trev, because he's also like your organization's prized asset. That like it's if he's having a bad first inning and throws 33 pitches, it's not like you could pull him and save him for game 3. Like that's just not worth it for what his arm is. So yeah, Scooble's out there for game 1, which not a lot of starting pitchers can really say that. Because you're right of how much they need to lean on that bullpen. God, it's where the playoffs is a ton of fun, and we talk a lot about these managers, and this is where it's going to get decided. Does Framber stay in for that third Riley Green at bat, or do they go to someone out in that pen? Yeah, Framber stays out.
He stays in.
That's kind of
this is look, we can talk about these games for hours, which is kind of what we do, but previewing postseason matchups is tough. Everything's different. Everything is, under the microscope. Is that what they say? I don't know. All the decisions. It's just, I want to get done with this. I want to get into the games.
Right.
I want to react to the games. It's so hard for us to sit here and say, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. We can go over the matchups. We can go over the storylines, all of that. But these two teams got to go out there and play, man. We've seen it time and time again. The Diamondbacks and the Rangers last year, no one expected them to do anything, and they meet in the World Series. Baseball is one of those sports, man, where you can think you have a beat on it and you don't. So I'm just excited to get into these. I think the American League has really, really good matchups. I like the storylines. Nationally, we'll figure that out, when the time comes. But please, playoffs. Let's just start, baby.
I mean, that's the good news, Trev. I mean, it's kind of starting. So, I don't know if I said this. It's
starting tomorrow.
Starting. I think I missed this at the start. SeatGeek code JOHNBOY Playoffs 10. Make sure you guys go to a game if it's around you. Go to a playoff game. What are we doing? And yeah, we are going to be back tomorrow because again, the National League kind of left us high and dry. So, we'll probably, go over what happened, Braves Mets, see where the Diamondbacks are involved. We'll have the matchups, so we'll kind of go through them like we just did, and then we'll give out some predictions, I guess. But what do you even?
We'll predict
Diamondbacks World Series champs.
Oh my God.
Might not be in the dance.
Sprinkle.
Yeah, today's a really good day to sprinkle.
If you believe in it.
Golly, man. I guess predictions quick. American League.
We can do them tomorrow.
We're going to do predictions tomorrow?
Yeah.
My notes.
Diamondbacks World Series.